And let's go into your reading. I am once again using the 12 house natal astrological wheel chart. And we're going to talk about different sectors of your life and to see, some of the challenges, some of the blessings that are coming through, and then figuring out ways we can mitigate the effects, okay? So you're showing up here as the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is showing up in the reverse, and this is something you want to be a little bit careful about. The High Priestess deals with our intuition, our innate sense of knowing, our, intuition kicking in overdrive when we feel almost as if somebody is either hiding information or we feel as if there's some information that we're privy to that we want to keep hidden from other people. So there's this sense of like shifty energy about you, and shifty not in a way where, you're not trustworthy, but I feel like there is something that you're kind of like on the fence about. Should I reveal the information? How is that going to be received by the people in my environment? Should I put in my 2 cents? Should I tell them how much I know? So I feel like you're at dealing with this internal conflict within yourself as it relates to being privy to some information that you feel is really, really big, and you're not really sure how to deal with it. It's almost as if you need an outlet for these things, because you feel like the weight of the secret might be bearing on you, okay? So that's what I'm sensing for some of you. And then for others with the High Priestess, it basically means there's something here, not turn a blind eye anymore. So whatever you've been sweeping under the rug, whatever you've been kind of like putting on the back burner as it pertains to your relationship, I do feel that things are coming to light, and I feel that you're going to need to deal with this. You're going to need to make some changes, some adjustments, for good or bad, and to figure out how you can do that. I feel like that's what you've been kind of on the fence about, okay? Coming through in your second house here is the finance house, and it's also, we have here the Justice card. And the Justice card is all about reciprocity. It's basically, if you work hard, you will get a lot of financial abundance. If, on the other hand, you don't work hard and you've just been coasting, there's going to be a reprisal. There's going to be like a chastisement. I feel like you might be called out on it, okay? So I do feel this situation playing out in a way where it's divine justice, okay? Whatever energetically you are putting in, you're going to get out. So you have a very good card here that indicates prosperity overall, if you are willing to work hard and match people at their level. On the other hand, it can indicate some type of a change in fortune if you're not careful. So this is a very, very karmic card. It's showing up here in the second house as a warning. I do feel some of you might have been dealing with some legal issues and you're waiting for some type of compensation. Okay, so if that's coming through, either through work, like workers' compensation, and I believe Aries got something very similar. I feel that it's going to be coming through and it's going to be ruled in your favor. And then additionally, they might need some additional information from you as well in order to finalize some case. So I do see things are going to be dragged on a little bit, but I feel like it's going to be concluded, it's going to be settled, it's going to be resolved this year, okay? And then additionally, as it pertains to your values, they're pretty much telling you to really, really be cognizant of the things that you value. And I feel like some of you might be put in a situation where you start to realize that you might be valuing the wrong things, valuing the wrong people, and making allowances for things and people in the past that you shouldn't have. And so this is a card that is telling you to realign yourself with your inner sense of a moral compass, with your own internal values, and see if the people around you are still in accordance with that, okay? So finances looks very, very stable, and I feel like on a more spiritual level, this might be it might deal more with like just your moral compass. Where are you aligned? Who are you aligned with? And whether or not it's in alignment with, what you believe to be core values that you grew up in or that you have cultivated over the years. So there is some very strong messages coming through in the values department, okay? The third house deals with communication. And we have the world. And I keep seeing almost as if some of you have encountered some really, really big information. And you're keeping mum, like you're keeping, everything under the radar. You're trying not to slip up, and you're very you need like somebody to share this with, but you were held in confidence. So I feel that you don't have an outlet, you don't have another person that you can talk about this with. So I feel like this sense of like struggling in silence, or even holding in a very, very big secret that you can't tell anyone, and feeling a little bit isolated, okay? But in terms of communication, this is a very, very, very good card. The world basically indicates a lot of opportunities for speaking engagement, for publishing, for putting your image out there, for being recognized, as well as being admired, okay? This is usually what I feel like a very beautiful woman or a very beautiful man. This is somebody that is, photograph worthy. This is somebody that a lot of people want to be seen with. So I do feel in terms of your communication, you're making quite a splash on the public scene, in the public limelight, okay? As it relates to publishing overall, this is a really good card that basically means that sometimes maybe writing some things out and then rehearsing it verbally is going to be to your benefit, because I feel like you might be put in positions where you're dealing with foreigners, because the world indicates travel. So as the two pieces of information lines up, you might be dealing with somebody who speaks a different tongue. You yourself might speak a different tongue. So they are urging you to write something out on paper before a big speaking engagement, rather than just, improvising. It's in your best interest to rehearse it, know it inside out before you make this public appearance, okay? So there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of, the spotlight is being shown upon you as it pertains to how you communicate. So make sure whatever you communicate is the truth, and make sure you're not hiding anything you're not supposed to, and making sure that information that you're supposed to keep hidden don't accidentally slip out, okay? So be careful for this month. In terms of your fourth house, we have here the Three of Swords in the reverse position. Here's what I'm feeling. I feel like a lot of you have grown up in an environment where you felt almost as if you were under a lot of scrutiny. So I feel like this is like early childhood conditioning issues coming back, okay? So you might have had a mother figure in your life, possibly. I feel like some of you, a very absent father, either emotionally absent or physically absent, and a very possibly overbearing and controlling mother. The mother, I feel like there might have been a lot of love here. However, the ways in which she showed her love, she might have been very perfectionistic. She might have been very, very critical of you. And I almost feel like you had to work twice as hard to please her. You had to strive twice as hard in order to live up to her expectations. So I feel like, as you grow up, you go into the world and you start to realize that you've been really, really hard on yourself. But because of this sense of perfectionistic tendencies in your childhood, I feel like you are now in a position where you are excelling beyond other people's expectations. You are even excelling beyond your peers. So I do feel like it's kind of like a curse and a blessing. And I do sense that you're starting to see this sense of, early on, being perfectionistic is starting to pay off. You didn't see it before, but I feel like for this month, there might be some healing happening in your family environment where you start to realize that, oh, they raised me this way for this specific reason, and I should have, I shouldn't have doubted, I shouldn't have questioned it. So there's a lot of healing here. There's a lot of emotional as well as geographical as well as physical rifts happening within your family environment where you're starting to understand things. You're starting to see the big picture. At the same time, I feel like there's something here about, I keep seeing somebody who is doing something that they feel is misaligned with their values and with their family values. So that's what I'm sensing. I feel like there's a little bit of internal struggle with some of you based on, the things that you're doing, and based on what you feel your parents would want. So once again, parental expectations, cultural expectations even. So I do sense something is that you need to stop being so hard on yourself. And you need to also understand that, you did what you need to do in order to seek your truth, in order to, do the work and put in the work, put in your fair share of the work that you feel that you had to do. So I do sense that it's a very personal experience. And other people can't really judge you because they're not living your life and they're not going through whatever you're going through. So I feel like some of you are coming into this month with this sense of like, alone in your struggle, not feeling understood, putting on a very brave face, but dealing with a lot of self-doubt at the core, okay? And all of these social engagements are not helping either. The very public engagements. So things will be okay. Have faith in what you're doing, okay? You are your own person. So the past, and especially what other people expect from you, they shouldn't affect you as a person, and you should not let them affect your trajectory in life, okay? So I feel like you are overcoming this, though. I feel like it's going to take the majority of the month, but I do feel that there's going to be a sense of release coming through, okay? As it relates to, first of all, your family environment. So this is a card that deals with like separation, okay? So I do feel overall there might be family reunions happening for many of you. There might even be opportunities for people from the past to reconnect with you. And I feel like siblings, strongly. Siblings coming to visit siblings, and especially if they're geographically living at a distance from you. And I also feel like a lot of communication coming through from the family unit, a lot of social engagement. Either way, that geographical or even that emotional rift between family members, it's going to be bridged, okay? So I feel like it's overall positive energy. A lot of healing that can take place here within the family unit. In terms of your fifth house, the fifth house deals with creativity. We have the Fool. And it also deals with the ways in which you entertain yourself and the people that you are allying yourself with when you want to hang out, when you just want to have fun. The Fool in the reverse position is a card of warning. It's almost as if you need to be a little bit more careful about the people that you are associating yourself with. So it's like you can no longer make these decisions lightly. You can no longer allow past transgressors to come back. You have to be very selective about, who you're letting into your life, who you're spending your time with, and who you're devoting your energy to. So this is a card that basically means that you can't do things in a reckless manner. You have to be a lot more responsible, and you have to ally yourself and maintain a specific image, but also ally yourself in a way that is in accordance with what is socially acceptable, what is socially appropriate even. So once again, this is a little bit of a wobbly card. And as it pertains to like recreation and creativity, the Fool in the reverse is basically being very, very cautious as well when it comes to financial dealings. For those of you who are self-employed in any type of a creative endeavor, so you might be, I feel with this card, it's kind of like looking at new ways in order to make money, or looking at new ways to find recreation, to find to find entertainment in your life. So finding new ways to do this, okay? So they're saying the old ways is not working. You might be associated with like the wrong people. And so you're going to have to break out of your normal group. You're going to have to break out of your normal niche in order to find something that is in more in alignment with you. But either way, there's this overall sense of like being cautious, being very, very cautious about how other people see you, putting on a specific image, when in fact you feel differently underneath, okay? So I feel like there's social expectations as well as your internal expectations. In terms of your sixth house, this is your work house, and this is a very positive card. The Magician is somebody, traditionally, this is the orator. This is somebody that is either, a teacher, a politician, even a lawyer, somebody who might be a traveling salesman. So this is a person that can generate a lot of buzz with their words, with their speech, and they're able to push along agendas. They're able to formulate new plans. They're somebody who's quite intelligent. So I feel like in your work environment, you might be seen this way, where other people are looking to you for your skills, for your expertise. You're going to be in the limelight. You're going to be possibly booked for some speaking engagement. And so it's really good for you to put yourself out there and align yourself with some like-minded people that are, fighting towards the same goals, or even like speaking as experts on a specific topic. So very positive card. In terms of your work environment, you might be dealing with this type of an energy. This is somebody who is a little bit of a talker, and they might distort the truth, but they're also not somebody that's willing to get their hands dirty in order to implement whatever it is that they preach. Okay, so there's a little bit of a mixed bag energy here. I feel like you might be called upon for some speaking engagement. You might be called upon to think on your toes, think on the spot. And I feel like this is a very good card for additional training in the communications field, in public speaking. That's going to be required of you in order to rise up above in your job, in order to get like the positive reception in your work environment. But overall, this is a really good card. So as it relates to work and finances, we have two major arcana cards here, the Justice card and the Magician. So they're telling you to aim for some type of speaking out about, social justice or something like that. That's going to be very, very important for you, and that would be a very good way for you to make money overall, okay? In terms of your relationship sector, what we have here is the Lovers, and what I'm getting with this card overall is this is a card about, two people that look really, really good together. Okay, this is like great chemistry, great passion, great idea, like great ideological alignment. So both people are very much in tune with one another. However, we can look at, we can look at this as third party interfering in a relationship. It could be in-laws, it could be exes, it could be, ex-spouses from either parties, or it could be the external environment that's not allowing them to have a normal relationship. So I do feel some difficulties coming through in your relationship sector that you need to sort out. I don't feel that it's going to break the relationship, but I do feel some interference coming through from third parties. And as a result of it, I feel like you need to be very, very strong in your foundation. You need to be able to trust your intuition. And I feel like you are heavily, your vision of what truth is heavily influenced by other people. And I feel like there's this internal conflict playing out in your life, where you're not really sure what to believe, and you're not really sure of certain things anymore. And so they're telling you, like withdraw. And they're telling you to figure things out on your own, because you have the capabilities here with the Magician. But I feel like you might be dealing with somebody that is in your work environment that is serving as a temptation, because they seem very intelligent, very, very eloquent, but they're making like promises that they might not be able to keep. So they're serving as a temptation to you, but I feel like they are all talk and they might not follow through with their actions. Okay, so be a little bit careful. If you're flirting with somebody in the work environment, just be careful. I feel like you're mesmerized by somebody in your work environment and you're keeping it a secret. That's what I'm sensing. They're telling you to be very, very strong in your own truths, so that you're not swayed by other people, so that you're not bobbing back and forth when you're presented with facts from both sides. So be careful about that. The Lovers is a good card that indicates great chemistry. But great chemistry often brings about, like passion and a lot of heated exchange between two people. It can also bring a situation where two people can lack innate incompatibilities overall. So just something to keep your eyes out about. What I'm also feeling here when we have, this is the 8th house. It shows up here as the 10 of Cups in the reverse position. And the eighth house deals with joint finances. It indicates some type of rebirth, regeneration as well. You know, it's the whole cycle of beginning to end. And with the Ten of Cups in the reverse position, it basically means you're at an end of a cycle. A lot of you might be in a situation where you are shifting children between an ex-spouse, you know, like trying to decide what to do, trying to decide where the kids are staying. You might have you might be financially extracted from that person from the past, or you might be dealing with some type of an extraction that you're hoping to do. And I feel like it's more of an emotional extraction because I feel like the legal issues have been resolved. And I feel like you're now deciding, you know, more of the emotional side of it, which is where do the kids go? How many days do I have with the kids? How many days do you have with the kids? So I feel like that's what's happening in your eighth house here. And it's saying that, you know, with the 10, it's a end of a cycle and a beginning of a new one. So I feel like a lot of you are putting an end to some relationships. A lot of you are putting an end to relationships and sharing assets with another person. You might have been involved heavily or financially linked in with somebody, and now you're extracting yourself and you're getting that clean break. Okay, so either way, it's a good energy for closure and for moving on. In terms of your third house, I'm sorry, this is the ninth house. The ninth house deals with higher education, and it also deals with foreign travel. It also deals with foreigners and in-laws. I like to read the ninth house and the 10th house together. So first of all, the 10th house is a little bit tricky here with the moon. The 10th house deals with your career, and the moon is showing up in the reverse position. So it basically means a little bit of losing sight as to what it is that you want to pursue. It's a very transient energy. It changes with the tides, you know, and it also changes, it affects the tides, but it also changes depending on the time of the month and things like that. So the moon is a card of fluctuation. It's also a card where we're not very certain which direction we're supposed to head. And with this card in your 10th house, it basically means like a lack of sense of direction when it comes to things that you need to do career-wise. The moon card, this is a card of Pisces, and whenever I think of it, I feel like this is the card about, you know, trying to uplift humanity. This is the card about like bringing emotional security and emotional fulfillment to other people, where they might not be able to seek it for themselves because they're lacking either the resources or they're lacking the clarity in order to be able to achieve it themselves. So I feel like for some of you, you might be in the helping profession. You might be working with children. You might be dealing with some type of like social injustice as well. If you are in a capacity where you are working heavily with children, I feel like you are being very, very well received. And you're thinking almost as if you're doing it not because of the financial payment. You're doing it mainly because you thoroughly believe in it. And you're giving a lot of yourself in order to make sure the kids are good. Okay, so they're telling you that a little bit of an emotional detachment from this situation, taking your responsibilities and extending it more on the professional front rather than having these emotional ties. I feel like it's going to make you a better teacher, even if you're in the teaching profession or if you're dealing with children in any capacity. And what I'm also feeling with this card here is it's telling you that being in a profession where you are either healing somebody from past emotional trauma, so that means mental health, or even physical health, where you are alleviating some type of a physical ailment from somebody, that's going to be a really good career track for you to get into. So as it relates back to higher education as well as career are usually, you know, read together, mainly because one might affect the other. Not always, but I feel like it's a good way to see which direction your life is taking based on the things that you're studying versus what you're doing now. Okay, it's like reality versus expectations. So we have here the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups is a situation where I feel like some of you might have, some of you have recently finished school. You might have, you know, given like a defense of your master's thesis. You might have published your dissertation. You are coming towards an end of a cycle when it comes to your education as well. And I feel like right now you're out in the world trying to manifest that ideal job, and you're not really sure where you should look. Some of you are called upon to travel in order to land a very, very good job. And I feel like you might have emotional ties, like family, friendships, siblings, and you're not really sure if you're able to live that far away from them. So I see a lot of inner conflict. I see a lot of uncertainty. And I feel a lot of you are oscillating between major decisions in your life, and you're hitting a major, major, major milestone in your life as well. And a lot of it is career related, okay? And I feel on the one hand, you know what you should do. But on the other hand, I feel like you're either delaying it for a relationship, like you're not ready to make this move yet because of a relationship, or you're not ready yet to make this move mainly because you're doubting the stability of the relationship too. So that could be, like if you and your partner are wanting to move to a specific area because of a specific job, you're not sure if you should make this move because you don't understand whether or not something is completely stable, or if something is meant for you. So I feel like a lot of you are looking for clarity this month. Okay. What's coming through in your 11th house? And the 11th house deals with friendships and group associations. I'm not going to lie, we've got some false people in your midst, and you want to be careful. Okay. So we have here the Knight of Cups. And I'm going to read this first as a general energy. The Knight of Cups is somebody coming through with false expectations as well as false intentions. So this is a card for you to be very, very careful about your social circle. And I feel like, going back to what I mentioned, you might have grown up in a household where people were very, very critical. And it forced you to work really hard. It forced you to be very perfectionistic. And you've gotten where you are right now. You might be in the public limelight. You might have reached a lot of fame and fortune. And I feel like all of it was a product of, upbringing, but also your hard work. So don't forget that. It's a product of your hard work. And I feel like now that the recognition is in the picture, you have some false people coming out of the woodwork, wanting to connect with you, wanting to re-engage with you, or wanting to, endorse you. So I feel like you want to be very, very careful. And a big part of you is like worked really hard, and you also are looking for that validation. Okay. And so when people validate you, when they sweet talk you, you might be falling for it. So you just want to be a little bit careful. Okay. Just be a little bit careful. In terms of group associations, they're telling you to really align yourself with things that speak out to you on an emotional level. So don't go into it blindly. Don't align yourself with people and groups that are superficial. Really dig deep and really figure out where you can make a difference, because I feel like your energy is very, very robust for this month, okay? Now, your 12th house is a little bit more complicated. This is a house of secrets. And this is also a house that denotes to me things that you are keeping hidden, okay? Because this is you. And you're showing up as the High Priestess as well, which means you're keeping something under wraps. And so we have two messages that are repeating. So I usually look at the 12th house, the 8th house together. Mainly because both of those are very strong psychic houses. They're very receptive houses, where a lot of karmic lessons needs to be released, as well as a lot of truths about ourselves, or things that we are keeping hidden from other people, or people are keeping hidden from us, are coming to light. Okay. So first of all, what I'm feeling is this: for those of you in a relationship, I feel like you feel a little bit like you're losing yourself. You feel very insecure in it. You're not emotionally happy. And you feel like there's a lot of people interfering in your relationship. So that's what I'm sensing here. You're not happy about something. And you might feel a little bit like chained and so you can't really get out. However, this is the month in which you are going to be able to regain your power. You're starting to realize as well, you're starting to realize, I feel many of you, how much strength you have. So living under somebody else's, scrutiny, being heavily criticized even at a young age, being dealing with someone who's very critical at a young age, it forced you to have very, very tough skin. And as a result of it, I feel like many of you have gone through so many life's challenges where other people might have broken down. I feel like you soldiered on and you told yourself, tough it up, or, toughen it out and write it out. And you continuously wrote it out. And I feel like at this point in your life, you're realizing that you might not be emotionally happy. And when you're no longer emotionally happy, being in a specific situation, being a specific way, I feel like you're going to have to really re-examine where you stand, where your values are, and why you're putting yourself through this. So I feel like this newfound sense of like empowerment is going to allow you to re-examine these things, to re-examine what is no longer acceptable in your life, why you're no longer emotionally happy. And I feel like you're going to be able to break yourself from this. Okay, so I feel like major decisions are coming through here as it relates to your overall emotional well-being and emotional satisfaction. And I feel like the status quo is not cutting it for you anymore. And I also feel as well, with the Knight of Pentacles in the reverse, one of the things that they want you to re-examine about yourself is honestly, this is a card about somebody who's like who's building something with their own hands. And what that means is that they're using their skills, they're using their education, they're using their mind, and they're getting their hands dirty and they're starting to build from the ground up. When it's in the reverse position, this is somebody who cuts corners. So they're kind of asking you, if you're not happy about something and you're still in it, why are you cutting corners? And why are you afraid to use your skills to build something for yourself? So I feel like you're going through a major reasons that are coming through to help you here is that I feel, honestly, great achievements coming through, publishing, public speaking. You're going to be able to sway people. You're going to be able to make huge traction and turn heads and, change people's perspective. So I feel like you have great potential to influence people for the better. And because you have all this potential to influence people, make sure that the causes that you're fighting for are in alignment with your emotional needs and your moral compass. And make sure that the things that you're doing are true to yourself, okay? So I feel some false people in your environment here, Taurus, that you need to be careful about. And I also feel like you have to confront some situations within yourself and be honest with yourself as well, okay? So it's a little bit challenging. I also forgot, I need to pull this card out. So that's the card that represents your 7th house. And the 7th house deals with, relationships and work partnerships. So love relationships as well as business partnerships. And I'm going to use that card as a transition card for the next part of the reading, which is your love, relationships, romance reading. So I'm going to see what's coming through for you. Love, relationships, romance. What's coming through for Taurus for love, relationships, and romance for the month? I feel, honestly, that some of you are staying in a relationship because the other person really loves you. And you're no longer happy, but you're staying in it because of this sense of obligation. And then I feel like others of you, you're making some major decisions about your relationships. And I feel like you're leaving somebody behind for good. Okay, so it's a little bit of a heavy energy. I guess the best thing is, if you were a Taurian person, single for this month, then everything would be really nice and good for you. Let's just go through this spread. And I pulled out an extra card just to see, what you should do. The energy is a little bit challenging, okay? So while I was shuffling, one of the message I got from this here is that I feel like you and your partner are very incompatible. So this is a card about, great chemistry, but lack of compatibility. And overall, for those of you who are single and who are not dating anybody right now, there's very strong potential here to be able to meet somebody that is very attracted to you. So I feel like the relationship, for some reason, it flows only one way, okay? Not you. I don't get that message with this card, but I feel like something is very one-sided. So it's like you're meeting somebody who's very smitten by you, but you might not feel the same way. Or you are meeting somebody who is I feel like who's almost your ideal, and there's a lot of chemistry, but there's just not a lot of compatibility. It doesn't mean that it can't work out, but it's just going to require a lot of self-awareness from both parties in order to handle that energy well. When two people are very incompatible, it can generate a lot of passion, a lot of desire, a lot of attraction. But in order to work together as a unit day in and day out and have a stable relationship and agree on the minutia of the details of the relationship, it requires two people to really respect one another, to trust one another wholeheartedly. And so it takes a very old soul, mutually old souls, to be able to work things out in a manner where it can be sustainable. So I feel like that's what's happening here. You're attracted to somebody. You're very attracted to them, but I feel like the both of you might not be compatible. So I feel like some of you might be dealing with a Gemini. And I feel like, I feel air signs. There's a lot of swords here. So I'm going to go into that, but I feel like there's a lot of attraction, but there's also a lot of difficulties, okay? So let's just talk about your reading. I'm going to talk about, let me see here. I'm going to talk about the foundation first. The foundation is something you know to be true, and it's something that you 5 of Wands, as well as the 3 of Swords. I feel like some of you are reconnecting with another person. The 3 of Swords, this is a card about separation. Either physical separation, like breaking up with somebody, and then this is now making up, or geographically, that you might have been separated from somebody, and now you both are coming together, okay? And because you both are coming together, it basically indicates a period where if you both have broken up, if the relationship has been very tumultuous, then there's this honeymoon stage where you're on your best behavior, both of you, and you're trying not to argue, and you're trying to see eye to eye, and you're trying to work together as a unit. And then for others of you who are separated because of geographical distance, I feel like you might have been struggling. You might have been really enamored with this person, and that geographical distance. If you're in a long distance relationship, it took its toll on you. It made you feel almost as if you can't be in this relationship because you want them to be with you all the time. That's the nature of the Lovers. The Lovers card, it generates really intense chemistry where you feel almost like you're kindred spirits. You feel almost as if you can't live, you can't breathe without the other person. And that's not entirely healthy. But I feel like that's what's happening here. There was a very deep, dark period where you might have been separated from the other person, and it really affected you on an emotional level. And I feel like because it affected you so, you might have realized that, you might have really had this inner dialogue with yourself, and you might have grappled with your own inner conflict, and you might decide, I don't want to lose myself, and so I don't feel this is the right person for me. And then for others of you, you might have been in this honeymoon stage. You might have gotten back together, and you both are on your best behavior because you don't want to fight and break up again, because you felt very empty and very depleted without the other person. So that's what I'm feeling here. Some of you have gotten back with an ex, and some of you are reconnecting with somebody that you might be far away from. In the past position, we have here the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Swords. First of all, I feel like, sorry about that. This is a card about moving back to a situation, moving back to somebody from the past, even though there were lies and deception. Okay, so I feel like this is another separate part of you, where I feel like if you have recently gotten back with somebody from the past, you overlooked a lot of their lies, you overlooked a lot of their deception, and they likewise, it goes both ways. They might have overlooked something you did because they couldn't stand to be apart away from you. And so I feel like they might have gotten back with you, and they might not have tried, they might have, tried to sweep things under the rug and not bring up these topics that might be contentious between the two of you. So I feel like somebody is forgiving somebody for some type of a indiscretion, transgression. And so overall, forgiving somebody is actually quite good. However, I feel like this is not a good situation for you to be in, because this is a very sneaky person, and they're kind of like, they're looking out for number one, and they're not somebody that's kind, they're not somebody that is genuine. And so if you're getting back with this person, if you're making allowances for this person, if you're so emotionally rattled up that when this person is out of your life, that you're able to overlook all of these indiscretions, then I feel like that's a very toxic relationship, okay? So I feel like this is something that happened in the past. Some of you might have taken them back. Others of you, you might have dealt with this, you might have been, cheated on, or you might have dealt with some cheating, infidelity, lies, deception in the past with another person. And it really broke your heart. It made you feel very, very emotionally dejected. It made you feel like you were questioning your sense of self-worth, okay? And as a result of it, some of you are just not giving it the time of day, and you're moving on. I feel like some of you might have been dealing with a water sign from the past, okay? So this is Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. They are still coming into the picture, and they're still soliciting you. They're reaching out with an apology. They want to reconnect, and they want to find a way so that the both of you can move forward, reconcile, move forward as a couple. And I feel like others of you might have been dealing with an air sign, an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra, that really did a number on you, that really, I feel like you deceived them, they deceived you, and I feel like this is a very, very karmic relationship here. And it is at a point where you have to accept this person for who they are. Just accept the fact that you're not meant to be with this person and move forward. I feel like there's still lingering chemistry. There's still a lot of lingering passion associated with the lovers. Crowning this reading is something that you are thinking about. We have here the King of Cups and the Six of Swords. So I feel like for others of you, it keeps showing me, energies of going back, trying to fix things. If you have been dealing with somebody that cheated on you, for example, like that might have been an air sign. I feel like it affected you emotionally in a way where you are very, very skeptical, where you might have like really smartened up, and you might have been kind of like guarded with your heart, and you're choosing very carefully who to give your heart away to. And either way, what I'm sensing as well is that moving away from that person from the past, no matter how much they try to apologize, I feel like you stood in your own truth, and you're not going to let them get the best of you. So rather than aiming for this, very strong, passionate connection, I feel like you're being smart, and you're realizing that if they are willing to, cheat on me or lie to me or treat me treat me in a way that I didn't deserve, then they didn't love me. So you're seeing this situation realistically, and you're making the difficult emotional decision to walk away from it, because deep down you knew that the other person was not emotionally invested in you. Hence, they were able to do that. Okay, so I feel like a lot of maturation is happening for you. And then others of you who are dealing with a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, if this is an on again, off again type of relationship, I feel almost as if you're making a lot of allowances for them. So that means they come out like this. They might be controlling, manipulative, emotionally clingy and needy, and also like very, very emotionally irrational. So they might have been very jealous. They might have been jealous of the female friends or the guy friends that you hang out with. They might have tried to keep you to themselves. They might have done a lot of things that they might have tried to guilt trip you even. And I feel like all of these things are things that you are aware of. But you make allowances for them because you're just like, oh, they really love me, so they behave that way. Well, yes, but also it's coming from a place of insecurity. So I feel like this person has their own emotional issues that they dealt with. And I feel like you made a lot of allowances for them. So rather than seeing them like this, you feel almost as if, they're like this. And I feel like if you're dealing with that water sign, they were somebody at their best. They're able to really love, to be very kind and considerate and very genuine, at their best. But at their worst, they can be a little bit manipulative. And even they can guilt trip you. So you're thinking of this and you're seeing them in their best light, and you're making allowances for all of these other bad behaviors. Okay, and so I would say that you're not looking at a situation realistically. And so I feel that you're trying to find ways for both of you to work together as a unit. So this is the Chariot card. And the Chariot card, it shows up here as the two seahorses. It's pulling the chariot in opposite direction. So I feel like you're dealing with somebody that you have a lot of chemistry with, but lack of compatibility with. And likewise, in the outcome position in terms of what's coming through for you, we have here the Two of Cups in the reverse. And they're saying that you're on this merry-go-round with somebody who is either very emotionally controlling, or somebody that has deceived you countless times. You're making allowances for it, and they're telling you that, this is the end of the line. You don't really have much to offer each other anymore. They likewise don't have enough to offer you, mainly because the relationship has run out. And overall, there's great passion, there's great chemistry, but the lack of compatibility is going to be ultimately the thing that breaks the relationship. If you can't really see eye to eye, and you can't agree on simple things. And then on top of that, we have here the Nine of Swords in the reverse position. Once you are able to tell yourself and be honest with yourself that this relationship is coming to an end, mainly because you both are not right for each other. It's a soulmate connection that needs to be severed because it's turning toxic. Then you're going to come into this realization as well. And you're going to be freed from it, okay? So no more ruminating about the past. No more, I want to say like guilt trips. I feel like this alleviation of guilt from both parties. If somebody cheated, I feel like they're living with a lot of guilt. And then likewise, if you have been staying in a relationship with someone where you know that it's not going anywhere, but you might have already fallen out of love with them, but you know that they love you a great deal and they're able to devote to you and things like that. And I feel like some of you are still staying in a relationship because of this overwhelming sense of guilt and obligation. Like they really love me and I don't want to break their heart. And so in terms of like advice on what you should do, and I'm sorry for the grim reading, Taurus. I'm very, very sorry. But I feel like some of you are dealing with some things that you need to release. And some of you are kind of like, you're sweeping important things, important revelations under the rug because you're not ready yet to move on. You're not ready yet to admit to yourself. You're not ready yet to like I feel almost like to accept the truth of the matter, okay? What I feel is happening here is I keep seeing people interfering in your relationships. And so they're telling you, be very, very strong in your foundation. Be very, very strong in your own truths. And if you're dating somebody and everyone is opposing you, like telling you, this person's horrible, and this is not somebody that we like for you, this is not a healthy person for you to be around. I feel like maybe there's some truth to it if you're dealing with somebody who is emotionally irrational, right? And so you have to decide here, do you bandwagon, go with the crowd? Or do you love this person still? Do you love them enough to defend their honor? So I feel like you're hit hard with some major, major choices as it relates to your love relationships. And then for others of you who are single, I feel like you're fantasizing about somebody, like a water sign, okay? So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And this is a person that you're thinking so heavily about. And I feel like you're thinking about them in their sleep state. And I do feel there's a lot of passion associated with this person. It might have been an ex. For others, it might have been a new person that you're still thinking about heavily. And you're thinking about how to get them back into your life. Okay? For singles, I don't feel like a lot of you are dating or putting yourself out there. A lot of you seem to have recently, broken up. A lot of you have recently broken up, and you're still dealing with that whole breaking up process. You might have new people coming on the wings, like connections for one-night stands, for short-term relationships, for short flings, for social outings even. And I feel like if you were to do that, you wouldn't feel right doing that, because I feel like you're still heavily thinking about somebody from the past, all right? So that concludes the reading. I apologize if it's a little bit grim. If you like a private reading, please visit my website. The information is in the description box below. If you'd like to donate to my channel as well, I'd greatly appreciate it. It's always welcome. The link as well is in the description box. So I'm going to come back in the mid-month reading and try to flush out this energy for you, Taurus. For those who are celebrating.